There she go. Erica, can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I think mine is muted.
No, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Chrysalis has to have her mic muted because we would get feedback. She's helping me out in
Oh,
the
hi, Chrysalis.
Did you hear that,
No,
Chrysalis?
I couldn't hear her. Oh.
Did you hear that?
I heard you.
You didn't hear her?
I heard her.
Oh, okay. You sure?
Wait, I heard her say hi.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I was making sure.
Oh, I was like, was this something else?
Were you going to put them on, the headphones on?
No, because I can hear them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can still hear you. Yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty loud.
Okay, that's what's up. All right, yo. This is it. We are back.
Hey.
So you good? You got your space right?
Yep. I'm golden.
Golden. Oh man. I might have to come out the watch for this one. I'm gonna have to come out the watch. So I'm gonna have to make sure I'm watching time. Cause I usually just look at my wrist. But yeah, I'm about to roll my sleeve. I should put on short sleeves, but it's all good.
Roll up the sleeve.
Yes.
Come on, do it.
Yes, man, because this, they always say like the stuff you're the most passionate about, you can always find what you're most passionate about through the stuff that pisses you off the most.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm most passionate about because not only is this like, I'm gonna take my time. Venus is in retrograde, everyone, if y'all didn't know that. So slow down, take your time, you know what I'm saying? Tap into that Venus energy. And it's in Aries. I don't know if y'all knew that. But so yeah, we might have time for some of that. But we definitely gonna be talking about that next week. But I just say all that to say, Venus in regards to my sign, my sun sign as a Libra. Venus is my ruling planet. So justice, fairness, you know what I'm saying? These are like staple words for Libra energy, you know what I'm saying? And my chart has tons of Libra energy in it.
Come on, Libra.
You know what I'm saying? Oh man. So I actually got a lot of Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius energy in my chart. But yeah, actually we probably gonna need to talk about that a little bit too, because that's related to this as well on an astrological level. But yeah, Indigo Children is a term that's highly misunderstood. Starseeds is a term that's highly misunderstood. I put the starseed phenomenon up here just to show emphasis as far as like, this idea that's been given to it as if it's something like abnormal or paranormal or perhaps not real, you know what I'm saying, imaginary, like make believe, those kind of things, because that's the stigma that's put on it. But that distracts and creates a false representation of what it is to people that are trying to, figure out what this information is all about for real. So starseeds, we definitely gonna talk about, but I always like to address Indigo Children specifically as a part of this. So starseeds would basically be all of the entities, beings, souls, whatever we want to call it, that are incarnating to this planet that are based on their energy, based on our energy, we're considered to not be of this planet, so to speak, or we didn't originate here, and we came here for several reasons, but one main reason, all of us, we came here specifically to help raise the vibration of the planet Earth as we are experiencing this shift of consciousness on it. That's like the main thing. The main reason we came here is like, you can imagine people like in other dimensions signing up to go, team up to take care of like something in a faraway universe. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what starseeds refers to, in this context. And there are many types, you know what I'm saying, which brings us to the Indigo Children, because the Indigo Children is just one type, if you will, of Starseed. And there are many types, and we'll probably get into some of those tonight. But Indigo Children is a very important term. It's a very important concept that will explain a lot of what we're going through, what we've been going through, what we're going to be going through, in ways that can make it really simple, you know what I'm saying? And it can be simplified on a lot of different levels, you know what I'm saying? Because this term deals directly with the chakra system. And the chakra system is basically everything that you ever want to look at broken down into 7 layers. So once again, we're simplifying something so that we can have it organized and make sense out of all of it. Chakra system is the bridge from the spirit to the physical realm. This deals directly with the chakra system in a way that also directly deals with the shift that we're going through and how the chakra system explains that shift. So when we do understand this, we shift, basically. You know what I'm saying? This is why the Indigo Children are here. This is why we're here, to help facilitate that, because we already came in living on a level that everybody is shifting to. So it's like we're already there, and we're having to live in a world that's overlapping with the old paradigm. Even though we already see the new paradigm, we know everybody's moving towards a new paradigm, but the new paradigm is so different than the old paradigm. All this resistance is causing all the chaos. So we came to not only help raise the vibration of the planet and help to usher in this new energy into the new age, but also to destroy and shut down certain programs, certain structures, you know what I'm saying, certain systems that are having they're crumbling, but they're crumbling in a way to where it's causing a lot of damage because of the amount of energy that's trying to hold on to it. And keep it there and help it survive. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could just be gone, but because of the resistance, it's causing the chaos, which is why it's so necessary for beings such as ourselves to be here, because we are the ones that already know how to vibrate on a level that's high enough to lift all of this frequency back up. Is everybody with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Erica, you with me so far? Uh-oh, I see we got somebody else to join the class. Yes, who is this? Hold on, let me unmute. Who we got? Hey, peace. Is that Darnita?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, what's going on? What's going on? How
Not
you?
much. It's me and my hand.
Is
That's
who?
Mariah.
Oh, Mariah. Oh, what's up? What's up now? Oh, she love coming to class. I love it. That's what's up. Okay, I'm gonna put you back on mute.
Okay.
You can take yourself off, I think, from your end if you want to say something.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely encourage questions all the way through this thing. All right,
Okay.
put you back on mute here. And okay, so that's pretty much kind of like a little introduction. But Chrysalis, do you have anything you want to say before I like really just jump in and? Okay, jump in. She said, jumping in. All right, so who are the Indigo Children? I feel like I kind of gave a decent explanation of the Starseed, but this is where we really start explaining things when we're talking about the Indigo Children. So, like we said, it deals with the chakra system, but first we need to talk about how it deals with the chakra system. Why are we even talking about the chakra system? So, this is going to represent our Big Bang. So this Big Bang, and then you can consider this to be the timeline forward from the Big Bang, right? Now, let's say right here is where we are. Actually, Okay, let's say we're all the way over here. So this represents now that little line right there. And this is your Big Bang. So if you can imagine, I want to say it's 16.4 billion years, if I'm not mistaken. I encourage everybody to look that up because I know some people give different numbers, but I may be mixing my numbers up with something else. But I want to say 16.4 billion years. That's a lot of years. Now, if you break it up, let's say you break it up in sections, right? Normally we like to break things up into equal sections all the way down. So we could say like maybe like, okay, 1,000 years, like something like that, or 2,000, 5,000, whatever. But we get into the Mayan calendar, which is also the Olmec calendar. It's also the Dogon calendar, because I know a lot of people arguing about that too. It's all of them. This right here starts what we consider to be time as measurable forward. In terms of events, right? Events happening, events taking place, stuff that we can see happening, movement, all of that kind of stuff, right? Evolution. A lot of people arguing about evolution, but when you look at the Mayan calendar, it clearly shows that evolution was taking place, because when you break up the timeline according to the way things were happening as we move forward from zero, you actually get something that looks more like this. Like you got a huge one here, but then it gets smaller. It's like there. And then it gets smaller again. Now it's like here. Gets smaller again. So now we like here. Get smaller again. Now we there. Now we there. Now we there. You see where I'm going? So like, even though we getting real close to this, we moving this way. But after a while, we start to realize, wait, something different's happening. And one way of looking at this is we never reach the end. But if you actually consider what the experience was like for us actually living this thing, you have evolutionary jumps every so let's say 100,000 years or something was like this one here. The next one's gonna be less than that. The next one's gonna be less than that. So that means that you have periods in history. And really a lot of this, all of this, like way back here, like we won't even hear, like humans or people or whatever you want to call it. You can pretty much consider from here all the way to maybe up around here somewhere, where like that's history that nobody even really talks about, because that's before, as far back as we like to go. So all of our stuff is happening up here. But the point is, you got all these years happening where life itself all over the planet didn't experience any changes at all. So we're talking about 100,000 years. There was a period in time where nothing really changed at all in terms of evolution. But then if you go further along this way, you may have only 500 years before something took place and everything all over the planet evolved, right? So what's going on like now? Let's erase these marks right here and just pretend we just gonna zoom in on the right side. So we zoom in on the right side of this line. I'm gonna move my Big Bang out the way. So now we just, let's say a few thousand years ago to now, right? Same thing, you still got this kind of like shortening happening. But from our perspective, living this, it's not so much that we never reach the end. It's more like time speeds up. And it's not really time itself speeding up. Really, is what's happening is creation is speeding up. So basically, there's more things being created in less time. And that can be experienced as time speeding up, but that's only if you're tapped into the natural flow and the rhythm of the changes that are happening. Like if you're resisting the change and you kind of like Abraham say, like paddling upstream or trying to swim upstream instead of just like floating downstream or whatever the stream is doing. If you floating downstream, then yeah, it's gonna seem like time is flying by, because really it's gonna seem like there is no time at all. And then you just come back when you come back, and a whole lot of stuff has happened differently. But that's how you flip it. That's how you. This is what we get into when we start talking about astral travel, because being in the flow that much is how you tap into. It's like going the opposite of what's already working. So like in other words, you want to be able to see that it's not the time speeding up, it's the creation and your ability to create more things in less time that's speeding up. But you also want to be able to flip that notion so that you don't get stuck in the physical realm, because that's what we talk about when we saying creating things in a certain amount of time. You know what I'm saying? So when you flip that, the flip side of that is tapping into the flow enough so where time just goes away and completely disappears. And there is no, it's a long amount of time, short amount of time, there's just no time at all. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you start getting into being able to pull stuff from other realms. You know what I'm saying? Telepathy is easy, you know, traveling different places, connecting with ancestors, like all these kind of things. But like in like waking state, like vivid, you know what I'm saying? Like you really are there. So that's just to kind of help explain what's actually happening here. But the thing is, up until I would say maybe around the last few 100 years, maybe. It's been a minute since I looked at the mind code and really studied all those numbers and stuff. But you basically want to look at it as up until really, really, really recent, we didn't really have anybody living a life to where they experienced a huge shift somewhere in their life. And those that did only experienced one. But when you got to 1982, something different happened. In 1982, and Erica got here a little early, so she knows what we're talking about, but this is the date where that huge influx of Indigo Children came in that I was telling you about when I was breaking that down. You had maybe forerunners, like you may have had people before this time with these so-called traits or characteristics and all this kind of stuff we attribute to Indigo Children. But in 1982, and you can even look up the University of Chicago, they actually did a formal study on this, and they found that they were seeing 2 new genes had showed up in new children that were being born that they had never seen before. 2 absolutely new different genes that they had never seen before. I forget the name of one of them. One of them is called microcephalin. The other one is an acronym, and I don't have it off the top of my head. But you can go on YouTube and look up Indigo Children, and it's like an 8-minute documentary up there. They talk all about it. But 1982, and I want to say January 1982 was the measurable huge influx where scientists were in the labs, like the scientists that study DNA and all this kind of stuff, gene therapy and all this kind of stuff. They saw something, and it was like, whoa, what is this? Because it was something large, and on a large enough scale, it caught their eye. And what was that? That was these new genes, and that was other stuff that you could measure from behavior, traits, all this kind of stuff. Right here on this year, right here. Now, if you go from 1982 forward, this is okay. So this is, we're gonna put Indigo Children, even though we acknowledge that they could have come before this or after. This is like where the science starts showing up, 1982. And then forward, you could go to about, let's say 95, 96-ish. I'm gonna say 96, you know what I'm saying? There's some debate on that too. But once again, we're seeing more and more jumps with different stuff happening. So what happened in 1996, now you're seeing a whole new, like even higher level of evolution coming in. And that's who we refer to as the crystal children. So this is getting back to the starseeds and the different, you know, names that we give different things that we can put in certain categories. And, you know, there's a whole issue about that, you know, and people talking about labels and stuff like that. But this gives us vital information that we can use to help all of us, you know what I'm saying, especially these groups that we're talking about here on the board, because they have certain needs that weren't really here on the planet before. So this is the crystal children. And you have tons of other terms that we could use to describe different things that were happening between 1982 and now, and even really before 1982. So that's what Crystal Children refers to in terms of the timeline. So how does this get to the chakra system? Well, for one, there's a lot of different metaphors you can use for the chakra system. One of the ones I like to get into all the time is the timeline metaphor. So you can do like, the 7-story building, you can do, a lot of different things, but this is in terms of like a time and moving forward, like in evolutionary terms. So in evolutionary terms, if you look at the chakra system, it would be like the root is back further here this way, and we go from the root up the chakras towards, you could call it total enlightenment, connection with the divine, whatever we want to call that, nirvana, whatever. When we are here, 1982, that's when the energy of the brow chakra came in to this realm in a way that was like in mass, you know what I'm saying? Not just like one or two people walking the earth and then people revered them as the savior for this or Messiah for that. But we talking about like a huge influx all at once of beings that have the same attributes that we give to these, we call them masters, and all these sacred teachings that are floating around the world. But this brought in an issue that we previously weren't really being forced to deal with, and that was one, reincarnation and how that plays out, how it works. But then also the idea that because of reincarnation and coupled with because of this evolutionary timeline we're talking about with these chakras opening up and indigo being the brow chakra being awareness, like actual awareness above, like a quantum leap above knowledge. One thing that we had never seen before that we have to deal with now is the fact that the people that are younger than us are living at a level higher than us, but in a way that's actually like in your face. Like it's not just kind of like a thought or a concept. It's like, no, I have to shift. I can't do things like we used to do them back in the day because these quote unquote indigo children are open to realms that have already been where they are right here with us, like different dimensions and all these sorts of things, but they actually are open to them. In other words, they can see them. It's just like if there was a such thing as like a two-dimensional person, like a flat person, and that flat person could only see like in that one plane, you know what I'm saying? And then somebody tries to explain to them what it's like sitting in this room with all of us. Like there's just a different level of existence that even though it's right there, they don't have the tools that they need to actually sense it, but it still may be affecting them and in ways that are harmful, which is what we get into. The indigo children, it's like the sixth sense, you know what I'm saying? The indigo children are walking around, they're seeing all this stuff that is actually here, still affecting us. But if we blind to that, even though we may not be blind to the physical, if we're blind to that, then the non-physical and the invisible realm can harm us, especially now because of the condition Earth is in, the entities that are on Earth right now, the whole story behind like how Earth got in the condition it's in, and just all of this, all of this back here, you know what I'm saying? Which is way too much for us to talk about here, but we can all feel it, so we don't really need to talk about that. We can all feel like the toxic energy that we are wanting to release from this planet. So indigo children, the color indigo is the color that we associate with the brow chakra. So that is where, and there's debate about this too, where indigo children comes from, but that's where the word indigo children comes from. And that's why it's important, because it refers to something that if we look at that, then we can start to get into how to get through this thing. And so now we can look at the chakra system in terms of what is shifting into what. And I don't have yellow, so I'm gonna have to kind of improvise here. Let's see, we got orange. And then I'm gonna just use black for yellow. Pink. Do we even have pink? Do we have pink? We have pink. Let's see, what else do we have? Green. Thank you. Pink for yellow, everyone.
This is fun turquoise color if you need that.
Okay. Pink for yellow. I'm gonna actually write that so that's not too confusing. And then I'm gonna do my best to only have to draw this once.
Whenever this is over, I just come off the make forever and a day.
Okay.
If not, then
All right. So, in talking about the chakra system, keeping in mind that timeline we was just talking about, so we can still look at this as a timeline, but I'm drawing it this way so we can associate it how we normally see it with the body and in the different terms that each one represents. So, indigo children are here. Now, if we looking at this in terms of like a person or oneself, you know, one's own personal spiritual path or evolution, if you will, or life, this is, in a sense, this is the highest you can go. You know what I'm saying? This is, if you're using your enlightenment to still be in this plane and live in a way that is enlightened in the 3D realm or 5D realm, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever realm you want to associate it with being an experience and not just like connected with all that is and you're just energy. You know what I'm saying? To have an experience in a body, this is the highest you can go. So indigo children are literally a representation of the type of energy that is fully activated. And basically, we talking about now an eye is actually open. So regardless of what was going on down here, it's kind of like, you know, in these secret societies or, you know, different organizations where like they got these levels and you go up and then they tell you like, okay, this is what it is, and you thinking you know everything, and then you go to the next level and they're like, okay, actually ain't none of that shit like what we said, actually it's this way, and then they do the whole thing again, and then you go to the next level and it happens again and it happens again, stuff like that. It's kind of the same with the chakras, but the chakras, you don't even have an eye until you get here, in a sense, like your spiritual eye, to where you can actually see what's going on is here. So in evolutionary terms, up until then, you're dealing with stuff to where once you get to the next level, it's going to be imperative to be able to shift into that level and not be holding on to the level below it, because now you're exposing yourself to a realm that just the lower chakras below that themselves, that doesn't give you everything that you need to survive up here. Does that make sense? Is everybody with me? Yeah? Okay. So the indigo children are up here. And remember, we're moving this way. And there's a way we move this way too, but that's another class. Basically, this is manifestation going down. I know everybody wants to talk about that, but the chakra system, it has so much information. Like once we understand what's actually happening, we can answer probably any question we got. So if the indigo children are here, what does that mean? Who's below here? Like we said, we was dealing with the issue of, you know, the younger people being more advanced. And remember, we've never seen this before, like happening to the extent represented by that 1982 date that I was talking about. So in other words, we got to be really, 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 really open. Like if we think we know what's going on, but we're not necessarily engaging regularly in things that we may deem to be, you know, of an occult nature, and that way that may make it evil or dark or bad, or, you know, we're afraid of certain things happening that are considered more of a spiritual nature, then there's something going on here. There's a blockage here. You may be here, but there's still a blockage somewhere. But the thing about the children, when the children come in already living here, that means that they're here and there's no blockages there. See, like moving up to this, you can experience blockages because you may have blockages that you taking with you. Like you can still move up with blockages, if that makes sense. You can still evolve with baggage, if you will, or things. Can I get the plug so I can plug this up? I just got a, pardon me, y'all, just my battery warning just hit the screen. So I just want to make sure I'm good on that. But yeah, in evolutionary terms, you can evolve and still you like have wounds, basically. You know what I'm saying? Wounds that you may not have healed completely from, or certain like traumas, whatever. But you can still evolve like that. But evolving like that into this level can be extremely intense, and that's what we're experiencing right now. This is what we're experiencing right now. The shift from here to here, with people being born already here. And the people who are birthing them, not in all cases, especially not now, because of course a lot of the Indigo Children are us. You know, they're adults now. They have children. We talked about the Crystal Children. The Crystal Children represent the crown chakra, which is, even though I said like you could like this is as high as you can go, it's kind of like, another way of saying it is kind of like, it's just that's how deep it is. Like when we talk about Crystal Children, that's how deep of a subject we're talking about, because they do represent living here at what we call the Christ consciousness. But then when you study the Crystal Children to see how they move and how they operate, you know, those are the ones that get labeled, like we were talking about at the beginning, you know what I'm saying, with ADD and ADHD and autism, especially like autism. And I think, Erica, I think you brought up, I think it was Asperger's. I definitely want to make sure I included bipolar in there. And then there's even more. I'm sure there's tons more acronyms now than I even know about, because when I was teaching in the public school system, the teacher I was working with, she was like bringing me information like after school, like talking about meetings we would have to attend to learn this new acronym that just came down the pipe. And like, you know, just, so it just, I saw it just kept going. This was after ADD and ADHD was already like, you know, loud talk, you know what I'm saying? So I'm seeing all this other stuff and I'm just like, damn, I can't even keep up with this. But I see what this is, so I just need to be looking at it from a whole nother perspective anyway. So from the energetic perspective, we're going to talk about the ramifications of being here when the stuff that's represented by here and below is crumbling. This is the old paradigm right here. Everything from here down, the bottom of the square down is the old paradigm. The square represents the shift from here to here. So our elders, if you will, a lot of our elders and older folk that's what they're experiencing, this arrow right here. All that friction of having to let this go and get here. But then on top of seeing a whole bunch of other people behave in a way where they're living here, but these people don't see the things that they see, or they're not in the same realm as them yet, if that makes sense. Like, in other words, like it would be like somebody coming to their parent and saying, you know, I got a monster in my closet. This is a real simple example, like watered down example of what's like the stuff that really be going on. But say like a child comes in the room, monster in my closet, oh my God, I can't sleep. You go look in the closet, see there's nothing there in the closet. There might be something really there in that closet staring that person right in the face. But because they don't have the eyes that child has, they're just not going to be able to see it. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about 2017, the veil is gone. Now the elders can't hold on to the same stories that they've been holding on to no more. You know what I'm saying? Because now they seeing stuff that's freaking them out and they can't explain it. But fortunately enough, those of us those of us here that have gotten to a certain age to, like, you know, develop our own skills living up here, we now have the ability to bring that information of how to do it to the people here that are now opening up to it, because they're being forced to open up to it. But the good news is we got experience up here now, because not only have we been here the whole time, but we've been on the other side of that arrow. we've been on the other side, meaning like coming up as a child, knowing you know more in regards to certain things because you seeing certain things happening that everybody around you is refusing to acknowledge or believe in. And so, of course, at a young age, you don't have the understanding that the older people have in terms of just like mind development in general. You know what I'm saying? So your ability to process information, to understand things that's going on, use deductive reason, all this kind of stuff is a lot weaker at that level. However, the senses and the sensitivities are heightened. So that's what we mean in terms of the evolution. The vision is heightened. You see what I mean? Everything is louder in terms of like what we observe, what we hear. Our senses are extremely, extremely heightened. So the energy that we observe, if you will, is a lot louder. So that's a lot of training. So in other words, we got the information that our elders and our old folk need. We got a question.
No, I want to speak on at some point my experience as an oracle, like being a nanny for crystal children and children with autism and things like that.
Okay.
So I'd
Okay.
like to expand on that more
That's what's up.
at some point.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay, so I'm gonna put that up here on the right. Nanny. All right, cool. Any questions so far? Any questions out there? I don't even know how many people we got in the room now. Anybody got anything they want to ask? Need clarification on anything that I'm saying?
I'll say anything in the chat.
Okay. All right, cool. So, okay, so yeah, that's the shift itself. Now, before I go in and just like break it all the way down, I want to make sure I'm hitting all my main points. Okay.
It's gonna be a problem if I have to get up and get out this room.
Uh-oh. Y'all better stop. Somebody sounded about to get a whooping.
Uh-oh. Am I? I thought I was muted. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you good. That adds to the flavor. I love it. What y'all think? This is real life, y'all. This is real. We keep it real. Okay. So yeah, I got a lot of goodies for y'all.
Can I
Okay,
share
so
something real quick? Sorry.
oh yeah, somebody got a question?
No, I wanted to. Speaking of the Asperger's, I was shadowing a couple years ago. I was shadowing in the field of audiology. That's the field that I'm going into, and I met this young man who is what they call high up on the autism spectrum, and I'm not sure what that really means. I didn't delve into that a little bit further, but he had Asperger's, and the audiologist was like, "Watch this. If you tap anything, he could tell you what frequency that sound is vibrating at." And he was matching it perfectly with a machine that'll tell you what the frequency is. So he tapped like a spoon to a watch, and the watch had crystal quartz. It had something on it, and he was explaining why the sound and the frequency and the vibration is different from you taking a spoon to like a chalkboard, and he could tell you exactly at what frequency it was vibrating at. And I thought that was amazing. And I said, there is nothing wrong with this young man.
Right.
We are just not on his level. But at that point in time, I didn't know how to explain it, and I knew it was something more, but it was absolutely fascinating. So to see a lot of these children and even young adults get labeled is so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. So the fact that we're talking about this is so on point right now. I just wanted to mention that.
That's what's up, yo. I appreciate that.
Can I actually get in on that?
Yes, come on up. Come on up. Chrysalis' son, everyone. Yes.
Peace. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so that's actually perfect because I want to talk about that and put my little 2 cents in. I've been a nanny pretty much like since I was in high school, and kids love me. Yeah, kids and
Of course.
people trust me with their children. So people have always had me watch their kids. And so what I've learned though is and at the time doing it, I didn't really know, like I didn't identify myself as an oracle yet, but I had always known that I was, in tune and things. So I started really learning how to pay attention to what children tell you. And so, like Stilts was mentioning, like when kids say that there's something in the closet or they're scared, and a lot of times, adults or elders, who are like old school, they would always just say, oh, that's your imagination, or, oh, there's nothing in the room or whatever. I've learned what. Back up. Oh, okay. I learned that how important it is to really listen to children. And so, for example, because then I would start to see the things they were seeing. That's the thing. So that's why I wanted to speak about like my experience as a seer and oracle, and then watching children who actually, see things as well. So, I had one experience where, there was a little girl that I would watch. She would not want to take baths in her mom's bathtub. We'd always have to go in her own. There was two bathrooms. We have to go in the one she used by her room, because she was like, I don't like going in there. And when I finally asked her why, she was like, there's a dinosaur in the shower. And she's like 3, I think, almost 4. And so I was like, okay, because at that point, like, I'm really coming into awareness of who I am. So I'm like, okay, if she's seeing something in that bathroom, there's really something in that bathroom. Well, and I didn't really like going in her mom's room either. So I'm like, if I don't like it and she don't like it, then we just need to leave that room alone. Well, one night, I ended up staying overnight to watch her because her mom wasn't going to return until the next day. I ended up sleeping in the room, and then I ended up having it was a nightmare where there was this reptilian being that was snarling in the bathroom. So that was my clear indication, like, okay, yes, this child is definitely seeing something. So I just wanted to share that, just with how important it is to really listen, when the children speak. And I know, like, Darnita, like you've mentioned, especially Mason, like Mason will come and talk about past life experiences. Now, about the autism and the like an ADHD and all that other stuff. And then the Asperger's, how do you say that? Asperger's, yes. Yeah. So my experience with autistic children is that a lot of times they don't speak because they choose not to speak, because the level of communication that they're on they're already on telepathic communication, which is our original way of communicating. So they're already coming in on that. So, like you said, Erica, it's not like there's nothing wrong with these children. They're just already, communicating in an advanced way. Because I've had autistic children come to me and they'll send visions. Like, they're not talking, but I'm getting visions. That's how they're communicating. And then there's, I have a friend who, she watches a child that has Asperger's. I can never say that. Asperger's. Okay. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, it is, and the word doesn't feel right, so I have a hard time pronouncing that. But he's, has that same level of intelligence, where he doesn't speak verbally, but he communicates in visions. And every time I see him, I see spheres of light around him. And he's highly, highly intelligent. I've seen autistic children that, can do things that we definitely can't even conceive of doing. I mean, third graders that are doing, 10th grade math. They don't speak, they don't write, they don't do the normal things, but their intelligence is high up there. So that's why I'm so glad you guys are on this webinar, because with you guys having children, I just want to say that, like, when your children are speaking to you, really, really listen, because they're seeing things, they're tapping into things that are true, that are really there. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Chrysalis.
Chris of the sun, everyone. I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. That was wonderful. So that was the nanny experience, right?
Yes.
Okay. Got the
Dinosaurs in
nanny
the
taken
bathroom.
care of. Yes. Dinosaurs in the bathroom. Man, I got stories too. When I was growing up, stuff I was seeing.
Man.
Um. All right. So, which still is centered around one of the main points. Um. That is going to carry us through this whole thing as far as the understanding piece. Highly sensitive. I wrote that up here because that is one of, you could call it, if we wanted to compare these two so we could figure out like what's actually happening here with this whole shift. One of the things we can describe the sixth chakra people, you know what I'm saying? If we looked at it as fifth chakra people and sixth chakra people, if we wanted to just say it like that. Sixth chakra people would be considered highly sensitive. So I'm gonna put the sixth chakra stuff over here. No, let's do this. Let's put the fifth. Well, yeah, I'll put the sixth since I got Indigo Children sitting right there. I don't want to confuse nobody. So, sixth chakra stuff and fifth chakra stuff. Uh-oh. Chrysalis knows where I'm going. Okay. Sixth chakra stuff, highly sensitive. Definitely. I'm gonna just put a star up here by it. Because that's one of the main things we gotta talk about because this is what describes everything that Chrysalis was just saying. And when we say highly sensitive, one of the things you'll see, like when you look at, and I'm gonna give y'all some resources too at the end of this, like books and stuff to check out. When you start researching this stuff and looking at some of these books, and as far as like what people have studied, when it comes to what indigo children go through, and even other star seeds, one of the things that we hear a lot, or we heard a lot growing up, is, "Oh my God, you're so sensitive," or "You're just too sensitive," or "There's something about sensitive," right? But the thing is, we may have took it a certain way, but the thing is, it was true. It just wasn't true in the sense that we believed it. So in other words, regardless of what the other person meant, the way that we heard it, because we were overly sensitive, right, or highly sensitive, or more sensitive, the way that it was given to us or pitched to us, you know what I'm saying, it was probably in a way that may have been like, putting you down, or sounding, a tone that you didn't feel good, or whatever. All of that energy, because of the high sensitivity, all of the energy that comes with that comes into the picture. It helps to paint and color the words, you know what I'm saying, and the beliefs that come with the words and everything we're getting from that. And it's a lot louder than it would be for, say, a person who's, coming from down here, right? So hearing that over and over and over again, as well as amongst the other things we could get into, but just that being an example, the whole "you're so sensitive" thing, hearing that over and over again, coming from that perspective, does something to the mind that makes you want to shut down everything that has to do with being up here. Because being up here means that your senses are now open. So if you're constantly being told you're too sensitive, you're so sensitive, oh my God, you're so sensitive, 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 and every time you hear sensitive, it's a bad thing. It causes you pain. It puts you in a position where you feel like, you're not happy. You're going through stuff that's like hard or stress, whatever. That means that your entire life now, in a certain way, a manner of speaking, your entire experience, you're trying to shut it all down, all of it, because this is your domain. You live up here, and on top of that, you're being told that by people who are just here, or you may not know it. But the older we got, we started to realize, oh my God, this is what's happening, and now here we are talking about it. But this highly sensitive piece, this answers a lot of questions because it gets into the differences between the fifth chakra and the sixth chakra. So if this is highly sensitive, then that doesn't mean that this isn't sensitive or it doesn't have senses, but it's only five senses. That's the whole point. So when we talk about the five senses, fifth chakra, you know what I'm saying? What is it? Taste, what is it? Taste, even sight. Like we talk about sight, but it's taste, sight, touch, uh, help me out, somebody. Hearing, smelling, right? That's fine, right? Hearing, touch, taste, smelling.
And does it touch?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So even getting into vision, right? But it's vision in a sense where we're focused on the physical, the stuff we can only see if we talk about, we can touch it, like it's here somewhere. But everyone here can see with their third eye. or what some people call the first eye or the pineal gland, and that opens us up to the invisible realm, so that it's no longer invisible. So it just may be visible for some people. So this will be the 5 senses. Wow, this is highly sensitive, which basically means like we need these people over here leading. It's like going through the dark. Everybody going through the dark, but they got flashlights in their eyes. Like the flashlight is in their head coming through their eyeballs, and we're all walking through the dark together. I'm going to be following what they talking about. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really, especially if people over here arguing with them, they're not really ain't listening to y'all. Now, if y'all look like y'all like on the same page as me, like, well, I don't know, but damn, it makes sense scientifically. So hey, let's do it. Then come on, rock with me. But if you arguing with everything they saying, yeah, I ain't got time for you. So flashlights in the eyes, that's what this means. But for people over here, if we're not open to that, then it doesn't look like flashlights in their eyes. It looks like you're too sensitive, and it looks like a lot of other things that basically hold us in this realm while we're now being forced into the unseen realms. And so if we're forced into it, then there's nothing we can really do about it being a scary experience or something that's like really low vibrational or toxic, because that's actually what we create and by that resistance that we have, and that's that tension in our own bodies pushing back at it, you know what I'm saying? And then that manifests as all of the magic that they have been doing, you know what I'm saying? That's how it finds its way to you, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, 6th chakra, highly sensitive. Another thing, let's see. Let's talk about these so-called labels, diagnoses. Hold on, I'm gonna put some other stuff up here. If y'all can't see that, there's ADD, ADHD, bipolar. Let's add that.
Before they
I'm crushing all of this shit tonight.
Before they called it all that, it was hyper.
Hyper.
So I came in before.
All of this used to be hyper. It was
Right.
just hyper.
That's how me and my mom and my family used to describe me as a child.
Bipolar.
You know, I'm born 83, so I'm like all that ADHD, all that.
Hey, 83.
After me. Mm-hmm. But hyper was what my family called me.
And I'm gonna just put MORE because there's so many things I could write up here that people be trying to give us pills for off of something that they didn't necessarily make it up. Like I ain't gonna fault nobody for like a lot of times we may think it's just a completely made up thing, you know what I'm saying? And there's nothing happening that may be out of the norm on any level. However, the rate at which things are shifting, you know what I'm saying, and happening out of the norm, if they're not talking about the science openly all over the world, then if it's not understood, if what's happening, I can observe it, but I don't understand it, and I don't have no way of understanding because I'm not looking at the tools that's helping me understand it, and I gotta label it something or figure out what to call this so we can do something about it, and I just trying to make up stuff to explain it. That's how we get this. You know what I'm saying? But what if all this is just one thing? And we seeing different aspects of that one thing, and we like, damn, I don't know what that is. Damn, I don't know what this shit is either. Oh my God, all these new things keep coming up. I ain't never seen none of this shit before. But those are all different aspects of being here. That's it. Because when you are open to the psychic realms, you literally are open to any and everything. So like we talking about create your own reality, like for real, for real. Like we're not just talking about as a practice. I'm trying to tap into the law of attraction. Like it's people come to me trying to figure out how to open their third eye. But when I start talking with them and figuring out what their issues are and why they're coming to me for that, that's just based on their understanding of how the third eye works. Really, they coming to me because they third eye is wide open and they off everywhere. They in the astral realm, flying around in their spaceships, and they don't know how to steer. And it's just going wild, going crazy. They being pulled this way, pulled that way. So when I explain it to them like that, they're like, oh, okay, so they understand that no, it's you were born with this open, like wide open. Now that you're getting older, it's developing even more. And if you ain't got people to show you what's happening, which is the natural flow of the evolution process that we're talking about, so that's okay. But if you ain't got people around, enough people around that's older than you to show you what's happening because they understand it from their own experience perspective, then it's just like the X-Men. It's like X-Men going through puberty. You know what I'm saying? You get to be like 11, 12 years old. Now your superpowers turn on and you like knocking bridges down just by looking at them by accident. And you like, oh my God, I can't walk around with my eyes open. I knock down everything I look at. You know what I'm saying? That's what Indigo Children are going through. I love the X-Men. That shit is so real. That shit describes all of this to a T. I love it. X-Men, Harry Potter, it's everywhere. Even Star Wars got into it, but you got stuff like The Last Mimsy is a real good one. You know what I'm saying? I mentioned Sixth Sense earlier. You know what I'm saying? It's in movies, it's in the stories, it's everywhere. So all of this, let's smash this. ADD, ADHD, what is that? Attention deficit, what is it? Disorder? Man, I gotta get another DSM, yo. My other one moved away. It got away from me. But yo, I started studying that DSM book and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do a webinar on this whole book. Okay. Attention deficit disorder and attention deficit with hyperactivity disorder? Hyperactive disorder? Man, they be tripping us up just trying to say all of this stuff right. They give you a bunch of letters and then, yeah, that's doing something to the brain actually, by the way, too. But we don't get into it too much, but I mean, you can see add in there, you know what I'm saying? That's magic. But yeah, that's another webinar. But what are we being told this is? We're being told that Mikey is staring out his window in his classroom too much. Johnny is experiencing fits of rage, and then he'll just go off and start hitting on somebody for like 5 minutes, and then he'll stop, and then it'll be like nothing ever happened. We're being told that basically the children have some type of mental disorder, but because the behavior that we're seeing is so extreme, but it's extreme in a way where if we are only looking with these five senses, it's evidence of some type of disease or unhealthiness. You know what I'm saying? It's unhealthy behavior. We could describe it as, right? But that's from this perspective though. So like if I'm gonna be extreme with it just because this is just gonna help show my point. If Johnny is tapped into a realm where he can communicate and interact with an entity that nobody else can see, and this entity ain't your, run-of-the-mill friendly entity that you want to have over for dinner, this entity may be, in a sense, pushing Johnny at certain times to start up some shit. You know what I'm saying? He may kind of take over Johnny's emotions a little bit to get him like riled up and do something that normally Johnny by himself wouldn't do unless he was being manipulated by an actual separate entity from him. You know what I'm saying? And this is getting into some deep stuff that, may be a little uncomfortable, but this is the arrow. Right here tonight, this is this arrow. You know what I'm saying? And so this is when this stuff got to come out because Johnny's dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? Mikey's dealing with it. You know what I mean? How long we gonna say, no, I ain't ready to look at that when our babies are dealing with it and they ain't got no eyelids. They walking around with no eyelids in a haunted house and we keep telling them that it ain't no monsters in there, but we refuse to go in with them. But we forcing them in because that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? That's what they dealing with. So what is this really? What this really is, time travel with no orientation or training. When you live in here, you can get sucked into time travel and astral travel like that. You could have gone so many places and been back and never know you even left till you start thinking, wait a minute, where did I put my, oh yeah, I did move that in here, because all that was so automatic because you were somewhere else and somewhere else and somewhere else, like a whole bunch of different places. But that's the thing about time travel. It don't matter how far you go. It's not how long it takes. Because if returning from time travel means you're returning to 1 second from now, it don't really matter how far I go in time, forward or backward, and what I'm doing while I'm there, because when I come back, I'm deciding to come back 1 second from now. But I may not be able to control that because I may not know what I'm doing. And all I know is, whoosh, I'm stuck somewhere. Ain't nobody taught me about this. It ain't even supposed to be part of my reality, because if I start looking into stuff like this, they told me I'm going to hell. Like all of this stuff, you know what I mean? It's preventing people from having the tools and the training they need to where not only can they control where they're going and when they get back, so they ain't missing a lot of time, because that's really what we're seeing when we're looking at little Marcus staring out the window, and we like, man, why can't he focus? You know what I'm saying? And it takes him forever to come back, and you like, Dad, where was you at? And he was like, I don't, what you mean? You know what I mean? He may not understand how to explain what just happened to you. He knows what happened, but he may not be able to explain it to you because of how he perceives what you think is real. You know what I'm saying? So all he can do is just try to deal with that as best he can while he's unable to control it. Like, that's the whole thing. So like the medication is for those things, but the idea of what those things are is completely off. You know what I'm saying? So even if the medication was doing something like they said it was supposed to do, it's not doing the thing that's like helping what's actually happening. You know what I'm saying? There isn't nothing wrong with the brain. It's that the brain is more enlightened and still living on a plane where the people who were building that level are still there and running things. Yes.
Yes, I actually, could you describe your experience of what it's like to be in multiple places at once?
Wow. Okay. So, okay. Time travel. Did y'all hear that? I don't know if everybody heard that. I can repeat what she said. She said, Chrysler said, could I give my take on what it's like to be in multiple places at once? My personal experience with that? Wow. Oh, man. Okay. Thank you for asking me that, because that is important. Because that's what a lot of these children are going through, especially now. Like, and that's another thing, when like the more we see children being born and getting younger and younger, or we moving further and further on the timeline and children being born, generation after generation coming in, all of the stuff we're talking about is just steadily increasing. The sensitivity, the abilities, all of that. So as far as being in multiple places at once, we're seeing more of that now, because that is considered to be more of a advanced ability. Because it's not that everybody here can't do it, it's that, like we were just talking about, it takes some control and some discipline and focus and know-how to do that. So like, for instance, if someone's in California with a broken leg, and I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, where I'm at, and I go into a meditative state, I am literally right there with them in California, pouring out energy from my hands into their broken leg, and their leg starts to rebuild its bone tissue and fasten itself back together with new cells. That wouldn't happen if I was just going into the astral realm and not having certain tools and equipment, if you will, to make sure that I am going exactly where I want to go with all of my focus, even if it's like different parts of my body, seeing myself there, energy I'm feeling coming through my body, whatever. If I'm not completely focused on that, and my intention to hold certain images in my mind, all kind of stuff, then I could be pulled anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And so one way of looking at being in multiple places at once is being stuck in your imagination, or being in your imagination in a way to where you're more like the imagination has become more real than what we call the physical realm. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad you said it, because that, you know, ties into everything we're saying as far as like the medications and all that kind of stuff. Because one, we could talk about, okay, the medication or, you know, pills, all the different stuff that we talk about that's given to children for these reasons. One side of the issue is, okay, it ain't for what we think it's for, or it's not in alignment with what is actually happening, because, you know, they're saying that it's this, but it's not, that sort of thing. They're saying it's one condition, but it's really something else happening. That's one issue. But then on top of that, it's a synthetic thing. Regardless of what it is, it's a synthetic thing that you're putting in a system in someone's body that's creating automatic dysfunction on some level. But now we're not talking about dysfunction on this level. We're talking about toxic dysfunction on this level. So what does toxic dysfunction on this level look like compared to this level? It means that you're experiencing toxicity in the body that is now producing things to come back to you that you can now see in the astral realm, and not just the physical. See, like in the physical realm, it's kind of like the people that are stuck in the physical realm, in the sense they got a break, which is also why people are scared sometimes to get into the deeper stuff. But it's like, it can be a safer feeling, because anything that you put out that has to come back to you, it has to come back to you in a way that's physical, and that makes more sense. That's not as scary as like you putting stuff out and now it's like, you know, you're getting all kind of like psychic attacks, and like you hearing about, you know, people working magic on you, and you know, you may be not able to control your dreams. Like you can't go to sleep now, you got insomnia, because every time you go to sleep some stuff is going on you can't control, and it's like really like violent or whatever, or intense. That is basically, it's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? It's still the body having imbalances or toxicity, projecting that out energetically, which it has to, because we always doing it. We project on whatever's going on. That goes out, it comes back, but it's a lot more intense. This experience is already a lot more intense, even when it's not toxic. You know what I'm saying? So when it is toxic, it's like the boy in Sixth Sense, under the sheets with the flashlight all day. You know what I'm saying? Does that answer your question? Or, you know, take care of what you wanted me to address?
So I have a follow-up question.
Yes, follow-up question.
So would that mean that meditation is important?
Oh my God. Yeah. She said, would that mean that meditation is important? I'm going to put meditation inside the box that I put highly sensitive in, just to emphasize my answer. Yes. It is vital. What's another word that I can use? It is necessary. What's another word? I'm making sure I'm making my point here. It is
Imperative.
oh my goodness, who was that? Yes, imperative.
Erica.
Erica, go Erica. She working for them gold stars. Imperative. All right, yes, I like all of those. Yeah, I think that's good. It has to be done. 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 For anybody that wants one of those times I said it did not be meaning it, then no, yes, I'm meaning it. It has to be done. But to see, this is the thing, like people that's been living here, they know all this stuff already, because that's why we still here. So look to these people. Look to these people now. I do, and me and Chrysalis have gone into this. You know, we did more so last year, but things have, you know, finally kind of settled down now. But it can get real tricky up here. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people try to tap into this and they ain't here yet. In other words, they're not being shifted into here. They're just down here trying to do some up here shit. but they doing it from a level of lack of integrity, you know what I'm saying, abuse of power. Like we talk about power, we all the way down here with the yellow chakra, the pink yellow. That's power, you know what I'm saying? This is emotion, sexual energy. This is the root chakra, resources, the feeling, you know, security, basic survival, primal mind, heart chakras here. So as you going up all of these levels, you got, and I broke this down more in the chakra webinar, but you got, if you can imagine a bridge right there, you got some work to do before you can cross that bridge. That's not even at the heart chakra yet. Heart's in the middle, but these are the lower three chakras, and they're the chakras that's associated with suffering. So any suffering that you having or dealing with, it's in one of those three. Suffering can't even get past that. So if you are in alignment all the way up to the heart, ain't no more suffering. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of, you know, the extremities we talking about. Like that's a way to kind of give a good picture of the condition this world really is in, because most people ain't even up here. Most people like all down here. You know what I'm saying? But in evolutionary terms, in terms of potential, possibility, and all that, we talking about here to here. So when people tap into this, that's why they can tap into it. Knowledge is here. That's why knowledge has been so important for so long for people. They like knowledge is power, but power in itself is down here below this line, meaning that you can be doing some real messed up stuff here and still access power. Did everybody get that?
Yeah.
Make sure everybody
How
got
did you
that.
find out what level you're at or what chakra you're having issues with? That's probably another conversation or another webinar, but
Well, we
I
can,
missed that
if
last
we
one.
have time at the end, I definitely want to address that. But yeah, that is something that, you know, we would be going a little deep into. But and I think I probably talked about that in the chakra webinar. I don't really remember because it was kind of long. But well, I mean, a quick answer would just be to, you know, become more aware of your body so that you can actually feel where the blockages are. Because basically, the twist is like a paradox. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of tricky because the twist to it is you're searching for something that you can't feel, because a blockage means that either it's pain there, which you're already feeling it, so you ain't got to go looking for it because it found you, or it is non-feeling, it's inability to feel, because that part of your body is like, okay, I can't deal with that pain, so we just gonna shut this shit off. We're gonna shut off your nerves. You can't even feel what this is. But if that happens, then you don't have no way of going directly to it, if that makes sense, like with your consciousness, because the way that you go to a certain part of your body with your consciousness is being able to feel it, being able to have sensation there. That's how you can bring it to your mind. So if it's numb, then you have to actually, that's where, you know, some of the quote unquote work comes in. Like you have to do certain exercises. You can use your hand to feel, rub your arm and see if you really feel your hand rubbing your arm, like, you know, it's doing it, or if it's just certain spots. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be something as simple as that. But that's when we get into like energetic surgery, because it gets so deep and there's so many different levels to it. That will be something like having a session will take care of, you know what I'm saying? Because I would be able to actually feel, you know, differences in chakras based on sensation that's beyond just the physical realm. And then that gives me information to do all kind of other stuff. Like but it's deep though. That's all I'm saying. But
I'll
that's
be in
one
Atlanta
example of how you
Memorial Day weekend.
say again.
I said I'll be in Atlanta Memorial Day weekend, so
Oh, word, that's what's
hopefully
up.
we'll get a
Okay.
chance to link up, Chrysalis, and I'll be interested to come and check you guys out.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Welcome to the A. That's what's up. Are we
Back
is everybody
home.
good? Cool, yo. Everybody good? Chrysalis had to step out for a quick second. Is everybody good with the explanation of ADD and ADHD, like what it actually is instead of what we're being told it is, and why? Like why that difference is there? Everybody good with that? Okay. All right, cool. So yeah, time travel. Yes, people come to me because they don't realize that their eyes are already open and that they don't know how to control their steering wheel. And that's what meditation does. That's what meditation does. So before I raise this, I just want to point out, you know, bipolar. I mean, we could go deeper into bipolar, but it still deals with the same concepts, you know what I'm saying, time travel. But bipolar is more of, I would say, more of an energetic thing than a sense thing, if that makes sense. In other words, like when you think of like chemicals in the body, when you think of like, even like when we talk about hormones or um, things that aren't necessarily like completely in the unseen realm, if that makes sense, but they're on a level they still kind of defy what we consider like basic physics, if that makes sense. That's what I mean when I say like more of like an energy level, or the type of energy that is within the system. But bipolar still deals with, it's not, I wouldn't necessarily call it time travel, but it deals with perception of time, because, and actually I forgot one, because this is actually more of what I'm getting into anyway, schizophrenia.
Mm.
And I don't know if I'm going to spell this right. Schizophrenia. Yeah. Schizophrenia. Glad I thought about that one. I'm telling you, understanding the pineal gland and the sixth chakra explains so much. But bipolar is all about like, not all about perception, but it has a lot to do with perception, or like one's outlook, if that makes sense. So like this is the idea of like, okay, a person is one way at one time, and then it's like another day you're like, who in the world is this? This is somebody completely different. You know what I'm saying? It has to do with what we are perceiving, but what we are perceiving is through what we are perceiving. I want to make sure I get this out correctly. If what we are perceiving, if I'm the same person today that I was yesterday, but what I'm perceiving is like from a different person's perspective, I'm still in this body, it's still the same soul, if you will. So if I have the ability to completely shift like that, then there's something going on in the sixth chakra, because the sixth chakra is where our awareness or our perception is. It's like our it's how we make understanding of what we are perceiving is up here. So that gives us an idea of like who we are, you know, what we're thinking, what we believe, and how we feel, what our, you know, vantage point is, if you will. So if I'm the same being with the ability to change that, that means there's a glitch right here. You know what I'm saying? It'd be different if we was talking about two different people, because they got two different pineal glands. You know what I'm saying? But for the pineal gland to shift like that, that's something that's happening, and it may not be normal per se, or it may be something that needs, you know, attention in terms of healing on some level. But with the way bipolar is treated, that's actually making it worse. And then that gets back into saying like any of the toxic stuff put in this body gives way different ramifications than putting that in this body of the fifth chakra, because of the way the body reacts. And that takes us back again to the highly sensitive. You know what I'm saying? Which is also why and this is getting into some of the like shift that the parents have to do. The whole reason why a lot of these children are going through such severe things, like we talk about how the diseases get younger and younger and the ailments get younger and younger, stuff like that. But we also noticing like the extremities of them. You know what I'm saying? Like the type of suffering and pain that we see the babies in. And it seems like, you know, if they don't have an extreme, like healthy routine, that's, you know, what we're seeing, you know what I'm saying? Because of that, the reason for that is that's showing us, the ones that have been here for longer, that's showing us how important us focusing on this health thing really is, and how it's actually doing that to all of us. Is just because of their high sensitivity is showing up louder in their bodies. It's happening to all of us. It's happening to everybody. Feeding little Johnny poison, you know, toxic water, and then me drinking the toxic water, but then he's always the one getting sick. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really get sick like that because I'm used to it. I've been doing it for 30, 45, 50 years. But he's like 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he can't eat certain kinds of meat. He can't, you know, eat vegetables unless they're cooked a certain way. He has to get a certain amount of you know, certain minerals that he's like typically deficient in, that's not like unlike anything that we've ever really seen before. Like these are just examples, stuff like that those are the things that are showing us in a spiritual way what's actually happening to us too, and we have to take it more seriously because we're not being forced to like they are. Like, we're not dealing with necessarily the same pain they are, the loudness of energy that they are. But if we don't listen to that, it's taking everybody out. It's taking us out. It's taking them out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's like a lesson from the ancestors. Consider it, the ancestors have returned, and this is how they bringing us the lessons, because we wouldn't listen to them no other way because they're younger than us. We think they're children, and we're the ones that know stuff, and they don't because they just got here. This is the spiritual lesson from that, because the children that's being born during these evolutionary times that I've been speaking about are not coming from the same place. So we really can't even look at it the same in terms of like who's older and who's not, because we coming from like far galaxies and other nebulas and shit. So yes, time travel with the bipolar. So not really time travel in a sense, but like a glitch in the time travel vehicle, if that makes sense. Now, speaking of glitches, that's where we get more into the schizophrenia, and I probably won't have time to go through all of these, but autism I want to touch on real shortly though. But schizophrenia, I want to talk about that real quick because we're talking about glitches in the pineal gland. The pineal gland, this is basically what schizophrenia is. Schizophrenia is when, well, people describe it as how you're seeing, you're hallucinating, you're having hallucinations. You may be seeing things that aren't really there. You may, like, that's kind of one side of it, but the reason that's happening is because the pineal gland, the way the pineal gland works is, let's say this is the gland inside the brain, and let's just say this is the part that's, attached to the pineal gland. Like, this is where it's attached to as far as the other part of the brain up here, and this is the pineal gland. Depending on how you looking at it. But inside of this, there's water. You have rods and cones attached to this. So this literally is an eye. It's like when you close your eyes and you're imagining stuff, a lot of what you're imagining and actually seeing with your eyes closed in your mind's eye, that's like, it really is an eye. You know what I'm saying? It has the fluid in there. But what happens is, the way the pineal, this is the magic. This is the magic right here, y'all. This, and real quick, this is what I'm about to talk about. This is stuff that's hidden in all these texts all over the planet. These texts that everybody keep talking about is one thing, but it's really hiding a whole bunch of other stuff. And the same thing is in all the texts all over the world, because there's secrets and science in there. This is one of the main things in all of them. What I'm about to say right here. The way that this pineal gland works is there's a shield. I'm gonna put it in red. There's a shield that forms around this. If you can imagine that that's a complete sphere, not just a circle, but shielding that whole thing off, it creates a wall that acts like the backdrop of a, what they call a movie screen. It's like it literally becomes a 300, I guess it would be 780 maybe degrees, whatever a sphere is, movie screen. And it has audio. So it's like it's picking up video, audio, and all of that, right? But how does this turn on? This turns on when, one, the lights go out. So it has to be dark. It doesn't have to be dark, but it does have to be dark. It's kind of a weird thing to explain. But it's like your perception has to be things are dark. So if you can imagine it's dark and you just real good at imagining stuff without having to close your eyes and stuff, like we can do that. But the science behind it is there's darkness making a contrast inside your mind so that this shield can form itself, and then you can start to actually see those things. So it has to be dark, and then there's other things that happen with the brain, like melatonin triggers, the sleep mechanism, which helps to create a slightly different form of consciousness so that this can occur. Like it's a whole bunch of science behind different ways, different aspects of this happening. But basically, when that shield forms, that blocks out when it's complete and full, it blocks out everything outside of it. So this is where like your astral travel is completely on and you out here somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't got nothing in this physical realm coming in trying to like be in your reality to pull you back into it. You know what I'm saying? You're shielded off and you're somewhere else. Schizophrenia is when there's a crack in the pineal gland. And when there's a crack in such a way where it's referring to what we describe as schizophrenia, the way that the crack sits, it causes a malfunction so that sometimes this red shield cuts on when it's not really supposed to be cutting on. So that means you could be wide awake and then your shield cut on and now you're literally seeing stuff as if you're out there, but now it's placed over top of what you're seeing here because your two eyes are open too and you're walking around like in waking state. So it's like you got both realities placed on top of each other, which someone could describe as hallucinations, or you're seeing something that's not really there. Because in that sense, it's not like it's a spirit there and they're seeing it. It's really, in a sense, not nothing there. It's just that the other reality that they are also in, because that shield is on, that has to be, it's like having two movies projected on one screen. Does that make sense? Everybody good with that? Okay. So that's the schizophrenia. Did I smash everything? Oh, autism. Autism. There's so many different things we can say about autism. Autism is so deep, but like I kind of want to just break it down in the simplest way I can. And that would be to say that if you think about people living on this level here, 6th level chakra, coming into or being born into an energetic environment. So let's say this represents not just Earth, but like our way of life, our belief system, just the whole paradigm, right? As an environment. And then from a different dimension, let's say, or we could call this our dimension, you know what I'm saying, our local dimension. And then this arrow would represent, or let's see, I'm gonna put a little space there. So that's like a little break in the realm, showing something new coming in from a different dimension. So let's say this is a soul being born into this new dimension, but this soul is different than the other souls that have been doing the same thing for like who knows how long, thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. So all this energy is filled up with that same energy of old paradigm, recycling itself. So it becomes really, really, really dense in terms of belief, right? And then this new soul shows up coming from up here, living on this level, already living there, not like having to be born and then, okay, I'm just, I was born into a gifted childhood and I got a good education, so I was able to excel. No, like I was born already here, already living, mastering. I'd already mastered the 5th chakra in evolutionary terms, and I'm already there as I come in as a baby. That creates friction. That creates friction on the body. It creates friction on the psychology. It creates friction on the mind, the brain itself. But it also creates a situation to where if you literally, in terms of mental frequency, consciousness frequency, like where you reside, if you literally have to like come down in order to soften that friction, in order to exist here, that can cause what would I call it? It could cause damage. It can cause a lot of damage. So like what we see as, and we don't have to think of it as like, I want to make sure I'm clear, like it's not permanent damage, and we may not even think of it as damage, but I'm looking at it in terms of damage because I'm not saying that there's anything necessarily wrong with the person. It's that they had to, in a sense, change like their body wasn't built for this old paradigm, basically. So their body coming into it got like kind of bumped up and bruised, if you will, on its way in. And now I'm having to live in this, body that got bumped up and bruised, unless I do something to like, straighten it back up, like, like with Darnita and the alignments, you know what I'm saying? Pardon me, Darnita, make sure I'm getting your terminology correct, adjustments. You know what I'm saying? That's a perfect analogy right there. So if you think of it as like a spiritual or consciousness adjustment that's taking place, that has to take place in order to take care of a lot of these ailments, because the ailments are coming from, once again, we talk about the mind creates the physical, the spirit body creates the physical body. So if the consciousness got bumped up and bruised on the way in, then that's constantly projecting out what is going to then be the physical. So now the physical looks bumped up and bruised, but we may not be able to see any so-called bruises or breaks or anything that proves to us that there's something wrong, but it may be like the way somebody walks, or like the fact that they, every 5 seconds they kind of got to do like a certain lean or something, you know what I mean? All of that is really like advanced yoga, or advanced, you could think of it as advanced, yeah, advanced yoga, I guess, would be the best term for it. Not even like martial arts, because basically they have a natural inkling to do certain things with their body. They're constantly trying to balance that energy back out. You know what I'm saying? But because they're still in this realm, and the realm that they're in is still screaming that old stuff, it's like they just need certain know-how to be able to do that in a way where everything shifts and comes back into alignment the way that it could have been if it stayed at the consciousness that it was on. Is that, I know that was a lot. Is everybody good with me on that? Everybody with me? Any questions on that? Okay, cool.
I had a question.
Oh, yes, please.
I, I had a question. I is so when you said like with the third eye, when it's dark, that kind of opens. Like I completely got the analogy and it makes sense. I wanted to know, like, does daydreaming fall into that, or daydreaming is something completely different?
Daydreaming does fall into that, yes.
Like, so like, I know
Anytime that,
people that just subconsciously fall into daydreaming, and then like you can still hear what's going on,
hmm
around them, but they're
hmm
often somewhere else, completely having conversations or moving about or even feeling things that's not
right.
necessarily going on in this reality.
That was what we mean when we say the darkness. That's why the darkness
Okay.
is so important, because the more, and you want to think of darkness as like sound too, you know what I mean? Because, and it wouldn't be so much sound as light, you know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about vision and the eye, but the more you can remove what's coming through the senses here in this realm, the more you are automatically able to tap into the other realm. But that's actually the shield. Like there's literally I mean, it's like a light shield. You can like measure that inside the brain. It comes on and it surrounds that pineal gland, and that is your backdrop of what you're seeing. That's the movie screen. So like if there's, let's say, instead of like, let's say like closing your eyes and you had a real thick blindfold on, and then the shield came on, you're able to see, what's in your imagination real clear, right? But then after that, let's say like you took the blindfold off and you opened your eyes, but then you may have just like put a real thin cloth over your eyes and kept them open. That's going to be, it's going to be easier to imagine things with that than it is if you was just walking around with your eyes open, but it's still some light, you know what I'm saying, around you coming in, preventing that shield from being full enough for the backdrop of the shield to be the only thing that you're seeing. You can still see something on the shield, but it's not like, you can imagine it as those spinning rings like you see in some of these movies that have like these huge machines where all these rings are together and they start spinning and they start going real fast, and then they'll do like
Yes.
crazy
Yes.
shit.
Yes.
So you can imagine it as like a little bit of darkness is like the rings are spinning, but they're still spinning to where you can see the rings. But when it's complete and total darkness, those rings are spinning so fast you can't even see the rings. It's just like a sphere.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
like when you're daydreaming and stuff, if you're like kind of just
Mhm.
off in the window, but your eyes are open, like your shield is forming, but it ain't all the way there yet. Because if a rabbit jump and hit the window,
It's gonna
you'll
startle you.
probably see it before it hit the window. Like you might already be kind of like,
Yeah.
whoa, before it actually hit the glass. Because you can still see out here. I'm making sure y'all can see my
Yeah.
hand. You can still see, you know what I'm saying, out here if your eyes are open like this. You know what I mean? Unless you just like
Yeah.
really gone, like you really in a trance. And but see, that's the thing. That's what we talking about when people come born living up here already. That's why they get stuck like that, you know, or that could be a reason. There's other reasons, but that's one of the main reasons why, you know, little Johnny could get stuck looking out the window. He ain't even seeing what's out the window. It's just that's where his head's pointed. They looking out the window trying to figure out, well, how can we prevent him from staring at this stuff outside? He ain't looking at that either.
Right. Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Does that help?
Yes, a lot.
Okay, cool. Anybody else? Question answer mode. Everybody good? Okay. So yeah, I just want to make sure I touched on those. And so yeah, yo, like whatever somebody try to tell you, like take this pill, man. I might have to do a whole separate webinar on how to handle that. But I mean, really, when you get into the energy side of things, especially with the babies, because you know herbs sometimes, you know, you got to be more careful with the children with that. But depending on what herbs we talking about, but and even supplements and stuff sometimes. But energy is not going to hurt anybody. If you are charging up your energy and your energy is vibing high and you consciously intend yourself to send that energy and you feel it leave your hands into your baby's arm that's hurting, that is not going to hurt them. There's no way it's going to hurt them. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's coming from you, because you naturally got a love for that person that you could probably even try to, you know, not have, and it would still just naturally come through because your connection with them. But that's why the energy is so important, because of the children, and they already tapped into it. That's the thing. They trying to figure out how to control the energy. It's pouring out of them. You know what I'm saying? But the things that they're doing with it may not be as healthy like we just described, because instead of just, you know, tapping into the energy and directing that, they're fighting the energy, or they're trying not to feel a certain way, or they're trying to, you know, shut down their senses, and that creates a whole lot of friction and tension. And then that's when the behaviors come out, because now that's that power inside of them that they already don't know how to use, but now it's stored up. And now it's like coming out in explosions where they, you know, smashing up stuff and hitting this other person and yelling and screaming and cursing. But then it may get like out of them like that, and then all of a sudden it's finally released, but that's not really who they were, and then they back to doing something else. And now it's like, okay, I'm concerned because this look like, whoa, this look like way abnormal right here. It's just a misunderstanding of the sixth chakra, y'all. It's just a misunderstanding of all these diagnoses and like things that we've come up with to try to like take care of all this stuff. It's just a misunderstanding of this realm up here. So we just got to come up, you know what I'm saying? Um, so definitely study the chakra system, meditation. Once again, that trains you how to steer the steering wheel. That trains, because you'll notice, like if you just started meditating, or you know, you can remember when you just started meditating. Like, you know how, I mean, even to this day, if you're still meditating and you've been doing it for years, like my mind wanders in the middle of energetic surgery, you know what I'm saying? But I'm using those tools I talked about to keep my focus there. Like it happens it's just natural, you know what I mean? But the meditation in the beginning, you'll see yourself being pulled in all these different directions. But then the more you understand what's happening as that's happening, the more dominion you have over being able to direct your thoughts and your focus, because you'll also be less reactive in the waking state as well, because your system is calmer, your energy is running differently. There's a lot of stuff going on. But meditation, meditation, meditation. The overall health in general, you know what I'm saying, keeping the body clear of any type of blockages or imbalances at all. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Darnita again. For the chiropractic work, you know what I'm saying? That's the bones and a lot of other stuff, but the bones in particular, are important because they are like the root chakra. Really, the whole physical body could be considered in the way the root chakra concepts, but the bones specifically because they're so hard. You know what I'm saying? That's like the ultimate representation of solidity and solid form, which is root chakra stuff. And that's what's supporting everything. All of this. Everything you got is resting on the root chakra. You know what I'm saying? So that structure of your physical body, that skeleton, that thing has to be tight. It has to be good. It has to be aligned. It has to be mobile, you know what I'm saying? Flexible, strong. And that's holding everything else physical on top of that, attached to it. Getting into the muscles, the tendons, and all and everything else, all other soft tissues and organs. And then when all that's aligned, the energy that we've been talking about can flow through all of that properly. When it's flowing through all of it properly, you golden. You know what I'm saying? Everything's cool. You creating what you want to create. Life is good. You're not yelling at nobody. You're not in pain. You're not getting sick every 2 weeks. Life is lovely. So that's where we headed, yo. We are headed to a world where this is normal. This is the new normal. You know what I'm saying? Tap into the ancestor altars. Tap into all of this. Tap into the occult, period. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got a support system in place and you can reach out to people you trust. But I mean, at this point, it's either explore it or be pushed into it. And a lot of people are already being pushed into it, which is what's causing all the craziness we've been seeing. A lot of people don't realize, like 2016, a lot of people was upset, you know, about all the shootings and stuff. But what a lot of people don't realize is like a lot of that stuff happened out of the control of the person on either side of the gun. Because that's the level of spiritual warfare we talking about now. Like we talking about people taking over other people's bodily functions. You know what I'm saying? Through, you know, not just some stuff we learned about like with MK Ultra or, you know, these patsies that, you know, are made into assassins like Manchurian Candidate. No, we talking about on a whole nother level. Like that's the shit that we've been shown. You know what I'm saying? That's old school stuff. We talking about everybody getting upset for an entire year because cops are shooting black people everywhere, and everybody sees that as the reality everywhere. You know what I mean? But what's to say that none of that shit was real the way that we think it happened? You know what I'm saying? What if all of that shit was based on the manipulation of energy because we're being forced further and further into this without knowing how to steer our steering wheel and where to pull it? And so now we being hijacked. Like Dr. Umar Johnson, you know what I'm saying? Me and Chris did a video about that. Like that was not him in that video. That was his body, but that wasn't him talking. When he went on that 45-minute rant talking all that shit and cursing this other, you know, SETI out and all of that, that was not Umar talking. And Chris Liz can even break it down further than me because she actually saw some other stuff in the video that I didn't see. But that's where we at now, y'all. So that's why this is so important. Indigo Children, Starseed phenomenon, because this is our way through this. Listening to them, listening to the Generation Xers and the Indigos and the Crystals, and understanding the differences between the different groups too, because that helps a lot with in terms of like how to integrate everything, how to interact with different people. Like I'm not going to interact with an indigo the way I'm going to interact with a crystal. It's probably going to be way different if I want some results, you know what I'm saying, with that relationship. But all of that can still be considered up here. So like I said, 7 levels, the chakra system, I love it so much because you can break everything down and look at anything you need to look at, and you still simplify it to 7 levels. So remember that the shift is from 5 to 6. Some things that can help the children, and then I'm gonna give y'all some books and we can get out of here unless y'all got some other questions. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. I'm gonna give y'all some resources or some names of people, you know, that do work on this. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I wanted to make this point too, real quick. In terms of warfare, we talk about like World War One, World War Two, and then everybody's talking about like, World War Three is coming, or all this hoopla about World War Three or World War Four, or whatever. World War Three started a long time ago, and it was spiritual warfare. And so another way of saying that is you got war that we're used to, like World War One, World War Two. That's physical stuff happening. People dying. Got planes, tanks, guns, all this kind of stuff that you got to actually like move away from, or not get hit by, so to speak, right in the physical realm. But if you got a whole planet of people that are thinking, okay, that's what warfare is, right? But then you got a whole nother world up here that people are being born into, and now they're susceptible to anything that's happening in this realm because it may be affecting them. But if these people don't see it, then that means that all I got to do is, one, attack the babies, and two, make sure that the weapons I'm using are invisible. And that's exactly what's been happening ever since we came on the scene. Through the food, chemicals in the food, you know what I'm saying? Down to like, the way that the food is even grown, you know what I'm saying? Like we all have heard of that. But then I'm talking about like specific frequency-based weaponry. So in other words, if I'm riding in the car with my father, let's say I'm growing up in his house, I'm young, riding in the car with my father, and a song comes on the radio. And then 5 minutes into the song, I have a headache. And he thinks he's not contributing the headache I have to the song at all. He thinks it's about maybe something I ate. I didn't have a hat on. I wasn't listening to him. So, I got a headache now, whatever. But it may be a frequency coming through those speakers that was embedded in that music that affects me on a level where I can hear it in a lot of different ways. So I actually begin to experience the pain, and my body shifts from that more and a lot more rapid rate than it would him if he ever hears it at all, because he's not open to that level of vibration. Even talking about sound, like there's certain sounds and even smells and stuff that you could tap into once your vibration raises that you wouldn't have been able to perceive before that. You know what I'm saying? And so when we talk about spiritual warfare, it is in the music, it is in the movies, you know what I'm saying? Not just through the sounds, but through the symbols, you know what I'm saying? Certain arrangements of colors, all this kind of stuff is affecting the subconscious. But for somebody whose third eye is open, it's a lot louder, and it affects it in a way that can cause a lot of damage, a lot sooner, and a lot of suffering, you know what I'm saying? Especially when you're the babies, you know what I'm saying? You coming up not knowing how to even make sense of any of this stuff. So just know that the war's been going on. We've been talking about it more lately, but the war's been going on. But just remember that all of the weaponry, most of the weaponry, has been aimed and geared at the children, and has been strategically invisible. Even through like stuff in the ground, you know what I'm saying? There's frequency devices in the ground to create certain vibrations to hold certain frequencies in certain areas. You know what I mean? And it's purposefully done, purposefully done to harm the highly sensitive ones, to harm the people that are open to the astral realm, the energetic realms. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to make sure that I put that out there because it's been going on for a long time. And those of us that, that have been open to it the whole time, it's been a journey because, we couldn't turn it off. Like we really just had to survive it and figure out how to get through it without going crazy. If anybody got any questions, you can throw them in there. Wrapping this thing up. Oh, dyslexia. I wanted to talk about that real fast. Anybody know anybody with dyslexia? Or anybody ever try to tell you had dyslexia? Anybody know what dyslexia is? Anybody? Okay, I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna break it down for you. I know it's late too, y'all. Okay, so real quick, dyslexia is, and there's different forms of dyslexia as well. But basically dyslexia, a lot of people talk about how, you know, they'll read, they may read, let's say like, this is the sentence. I'm gonna just put the word sentence. And so let's say like somebody comes and sees this on the board and then they try to read this. That's an N. But as they look at this from left to right, the first thing that they see is 10 and then cents. Like they see this first and then they see the SENCE. And so it's like, well, how in the world could they see this first and then see this and that without seeing that? If it's, you know, my eyes went across it this way, right? Once again, time travel. Time travel. When they're looking at this, what they actually pick up, this is the first thing that they pick up. You know what I'm saying? Their eyes may have moved across this and actually received the information first, but they, through their time travel, went to this moment first before they came back to that moment again and then added what was left over to it. That's just one way that it can be done, but that's what dyslexia is, just a whole nother, it's another aspect of time travel being misunderstood when someone's experience may be kind of jolted a little bit because they're not tapped into keeping it steady, you know what I'm saying, and sustain and maintain. Does that make sense? Anybody got any questions on that? Dyslexia. And there's, you know, like I said, it's different forms of dyslexia, but it all goes back to that. Okay, I think that was pretty much it, y'all. So I'm gonna give y'all some quick like tools you can use. Now, this is for, you know, we talking about Indigo Children, Starseeds, all around, but basically the highly sensitive, because highly sensitive refers to all of these. But Indigo Children is where we breaking down this, all of the stuff we talking about with the chakras and everything, so we can understand it. But let's say Indigo is having like a hard time like grounding themselves, like they can't focus and they're just all over the place. Ice cubes on the tongue. If they super hot, you know, they can't calm down. They panicking about something. Basically, their energy or their system is in panic mode on some level. Ice cubes on the tip of the tongue. And you might be surprised how good it feels to them. Matter of fact, it probably won't be an ice cube for long. Let's see. Oh, sound therapy. Goodness gracious. This is, I mean, this one right here, this can solve so many people's headaches. Like we're trying to figure out like how to get their children to behave or calm down, or trying to figure out what's going on, because the energy is just like whatever, all over the place. Sound therapy, yo, like you can even tap into, and I'm gonna give y'all one. Bach, if y'all have ever heard of Johann Sebastian Bach, or you can just look up like J.S. Bach and his name should come up. You can start looking through some of his stuff. But for those of y'all that have children that can't focus on like homework, I think I'm spelling his name right, but it's B-A-C-H, pronounced Bach, like B-A-C-K, with an I instead of A, I guess. But Johann Sebastian Bach, and any music from the Baroque period, that's B-A-R-O-Q-U-E. Bach was considered to be from the Baroque period, but if you get into any music from the Baroque period, because it's a certain style of music, they use certain chords, they use certain melodies, and I love it. It's wonderful. But specifically for calming the nerves, helping the mind to focus, relaxation. I actually have a playlist on my on one of my YouTube channels where I just got a whole bunch of different types of classical music, and I call it my study list, because like whenever I'm doing work or I need to like be studying something or reading or whatever, I put that on and it keeps me focused. If you got a lot of work to do and you having a hard time focusing, put some Baroque music on. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, yo, it's amazing. Um, but yeah, Bach is like my favorite within that though. Um, what else? Oh, the different frequencies. So like I said, you can get into like the different styles of music or different songs specifically, but then you can get into different frequencies. So you can actually look up specific hertz. Like you can look up a song or look up videos with like a certain sound that's like held, or like certain pitches that are held along the video, but they'll be in certain hertz or certain frequencies rather that's measured in hertz. But there's specific hertz that can harm you. There's specific hertz that can help heal you. So if you look for, and you can always look for the HZ, capital H lower Z, and then 432 is a real powerful healing frequency. 528 is a really powerful healing frequency. Those are the top two that I go to. It's not necessarily saying that those are the best to use, but then that's also based on the individual and the condition as well. But overall, these are like the top two on my personal list, personal favorites. You can tap into it pretty much at any time, you know, with anything that you're doing. I just wouldn't be like, I don't know if I would be driving because you might kind of go off in a daze. But like if you working or doing something, as long as you know what I'm saying, got a secure environment, yeah, you can just put that on in the background. You can sleep to it. You'd be surprised, like you grow cells with this, regenerate cells and stuff like that, like very quickly, especially with the five. Well, I ain't gonna say especially with the 532. It depends on what type of cells we're talking about. This one is more associated with the heart, the 528. The 432, I would say, is more so associated with like the blending of all energies, if that makes sense, which the heart is still associated with, but this is like more directly the heart. Um, so yes, sound therapy, art. Find out what they love to do artistically and support that. Oh my God. Because this same thing meditation does helps to train this, helps to train that mind, that focus, that vision, that imagination. Because remember, anything they're imagining, they're creating. So if they can't control their imagination and all they seeing is a whole bunch of crazy stuff, then they're going to be stuck. They're going to be doomed to that reality because it's going to always keep coming back to them even stronger. You know what I'm saying? So we want to encourage anything that's going to help that heart chakra open up, and anything that's going to help us develop control and direction over where our imagination goes. And anytime we're tapping into our art, our imagination is not going anywhere we don't want it to go. When we tapped into this right here, this is not happening. We ain't in nothing but bliss when we tapping into our favorite art. You know what I'm saying? If you're a singer, like a true singer, then you know if you singing, you ain't got no problems. You know what I mean? So that's that. And let me give y'all some books. This is actually not about Indigo Children specifically. I mean, it is, but she doesn't use the term Indigo Children. And I don't know if she, you know, studies Indigo Children or not, but this is called The Highly Sensitive Person. It's by Dr. Elaine Aaron. I love this book. Notice the cover. Notice how sensitive, eye friendly the cover is. And she actually talks about that in the book. Like she actually, I think, talked to some engineers or like color specialists or something. I think she talked to some experts in some field to figure out how to like specifically engineer the cover. It's real specific so that people who are highly sensitive could look at it and it wouldn't be loud. Like it would literally be the softest thing to look at, but still very easily seen. How to Thrive When the World Overwhelms You. Elaine Aaron, PhD. This is super good. She's got a couple videos on YouTube too, I think you can check out where she helps explain what's in here. And then some other people that have been reading it and putting their own opinions up on YouTube about it. And my personal take on it is it's amazing. And a lot of the stuff that it it's the exact same stuff you're talking about. It's just from a different perspective. It's from a perspective of someone doing like mainstream psychology, but they're noticing high sensitivities in a lot of children that are coming in. You know, they're not getting into cosmic stuff and chakra stuff and all of that, but they are addressing a lot of really important stuff that comes with this high sensitivity being a real thing and not just something that's like, oh, you're too sensitive, you know, like we talked about at the beginning. This one right here, The Care and Feeding of Indigo Children. And that's by Doreen Virtue, who I also love. Care and Feeding of Indigo Children. Super dope book. She gets into foods. I was talking about chemicals and stuff like that and foods and stuff earlier. And she gets into actually some real good specifics. Magnesium is actually one mineral that a lot of the children that are considered to be indigos and starseeds are deficient in. And so supplementing magnesium can be really, really good in a like very immediate way for indigos and the like. This, I want to give a shout out to my sister, Alika Hickman. She may be like, wow, okay, he's putting my book in there. But not because it deals with indigo children, because it doesn't really deal with indigo children directly, but she, Alika had 2 brain aneurysms, and in the middle of the second surgery, the one for the second brain aneurysm, she had a stroke. So when she woke up from the second surgery, she couldn't add 2 plus 2. She couldn't talk, walk. Basically, she was, from my understanding, I think her parents were told that, you know, y'all might want to just look for somewhere to put her. She's not gonna walk again. Like, this is basically like, you know, how she gonna be. But she came through that, and not only did she come through that, and it's a long story, but she was able to research. She started doing research on what happened to her as far as like, you know, the damage in her head and her scalp and her hair. Come to find out, all of the stuff that was damaging her came from the chemicals that were in the hair products, shampoos, conditioners, makeup, you name it, health and beauty products, period. Health and beauty products all the way around. She started doing this research and come to find out the stuff that was destroying her brain is in all of this stuff, all of it. So in the beginning of the book, she talks about her story. In the middle of the book, she talks about the specific chemicals and stuff that she researched, the dangers of them, how to avoid them, what they're in, all that kind of stuff. But then in the back, she's got her own recipe guide to show you how to make from scratch all the stuff that she now uses on her own self. She's back up walking, rapping again. She's making videos like sisters doing talks, you know what I'm saying, getting taken to different places to do public speaking appearances. And this is her book's Chemical Suicide, Death by Association. And I'm putting it in this webinar because it gets back to the 5th chakra people listening to the 6th chakra people, because the chemicals and stuff are damaging the children a lot faster. And so it's important for us to learn more about what those chemicals are and where they're being put with this spiritual warfare, because they hiding this shit in damn near everything. And so I wanted to give her a big shout out for that, because she helps to represent solutions in terms of the new paradigm that the parents got to face. You know what I'm saying? That it's a new paradigm of parenting that we got to have, you know what I'm saying? But we need tools to do that, and that's a dope tool to have for something like that. And that How to Care and Feed the Indigo Children one, or the Care and Feeding of the Indigo Children one. And then this is for everybody, but I want to emphasize this for the indigo children themselves. So if you feel like you're indigo, which I feel like we probably all are here, that made it live tonight, this book right here, I don't, there's not enough I can say about this book. This book will change your life immediately. This book will change your life immediately. If you never heard of this, get your hands on this. Indigos, get your hands on this book. Crystals, get your hands on this book. Rainbows, get your hands on this book. This will help you stay in your body. This will help you get stuff done on this plane. This will help inspire you to want to stay here. Because see, that's something that a lot of Indigos deal with. They don't need to be wanting to stay here. And other starseeds, because of all the stuff that they deal with, and they want to just be done with this lifetime and just go home. This will help you with knowing how to stay here. The 10 natural laws of successful time and life management, proven strategies for increased productivity and inner peace by Hiram, I think it's Hiram, Hyrum W. Smith. There's so many things I could go in, why this is so dope, but he helps you to see how to organize your life, like in a way to where you're in control of the events that happen in your life, and therefore you're in control of the time. And if you're in control of the time, then you don't have to, you're not gonna feel the need to leave, you know what I'm saying, because you have more control of what's going on. But I'm saying it's on point. Like, I don't want to really want to get into it because we'll be talking for another hour, but it's the way he lays out stuff and helps you see how much control of your time you actually do have. If you sit down and do certain things, you're gonna have to sit down and do certain things for a little while. It's like, it's work, you know what I'm saying? It's class work, it's homework. But when you do that and you have certain stuff down on paper, after that, it's like everything is cake, you know what I'm saying? But knowing certain things to put on paper so that you have certain things in your view at all times can change your life overnight. And a lot of it is in that book. This one also, Chakras for Beginners, I'll be talking about this in my other webinars. Indigos get this book, David Pond. A lot of people be like, still, all the black people that you showing me all these books, all these white people. If you see me show you a book with a white person on it, you know that that book is the shit, okay? So don't get caught up in that. Just know that all the books I'm showing y'all are the shit. And if there's a white person on it, there's even more evidence of that because I big up my people to the fullest. And if you make it in my library, then you own your stuff. And here's another one of my Caucasian brothers I love so much. Rest in peace to Ted Andrews. How to do psychic readings through touch. It's not even as advanced as it sounds once you start getting into it, which is another thing I love about Ted Andrews. Get anything he writes. He's got one called Animal Speak. I love it. That would be super good for the real young children because then they can tap into the magic of animals and nature and like really like maintain that childlike wonder that we all actually really want to be going back to help us make it through this thing. I think that's it, y'all. Anybody got any last questions they want to throw in? I appreciate y'all for hanging on with me for so long. We went a little over 2 hours, it looked like. Everybody good? I ain't put nobody to sleep, did I? Oh, nature. Speaking of nature, along with everything I say down here, yeah, they need that. They need to be out in nature, not a playground, not a park, you know, like these city parks. I mean, the city parks is cool depending on where you at, but I'm talking about like woods. I'm talking about like it ain't no streets, no highways nowhere near around, and if it got dark, y'all might get scared. They need that in the daytime, preferably, but they need that type of nature. You know what I'm saying? Trees everywhere, thick woods, like earth they can really sink into, take them to a lake, you know what I'm saying? But on the regular though, that's how they regenerate. That's how we regenerate. I keep saying they, and like we're the Indigo Children too. So get into these stories, X-Men, Harry Potter. Yo, a lot of the secrets, just like I told you about the pineal gland and all these sacred texts around the world hiding stuff from us, a lot of that stuff's hidden in these movies too. And Harry Potter is a super good example of all that, and all these superhero movies. Just making sure I got everything on here that I wanted to touch. Oh, another book. I couldn't find it, so I could show it to y'all, but it's one more I wanted to give y'all. It's the Complete Idiot's Guide series. It's just completely it's got the Indigo Children. You know what I'm saying? It's some real dope information. As silly as it sounds, there's some real dope information in there. And I think we good. I think we done, y'all. Oh, crystals. That was the last thing. And Spirit Science Institute. You know what I'm saying? Spread the words and help these indigos come to class because this is who this school is for. The indigos and the starseeds more than anybody. It's for everybody, but this is why I built it right here. Spirit Science Institute, this is why I built it. And crystals. Get into these crystals, especially if you have crystal children. If you've never given them a crystal, give them a crystal and watch them light up. Watch what happens when you give them a crystal. You know what I'm saying? Make sure it's a safe crystal for them, depending on their age. But yeah. And they can do some things with that crystal too, to help change the vibration of this planet. So that's gonna be it for me, y'all. This has been Shaman Hands from Spirit Science Institute, shamanhands.com, and bethevibe.com. Y'all got this y'all last chance to get anything in. It's going on the archives. Anybody got anything they need? Make sure they know, understand. I saw somebody lean forward. Everybody good? Okay. All right, cool, yo. I appreciate y'all, man. Always. Thank you for showing up to class. Y'all make it easier for me. All right. And I will see y'all next week. We are talking about the Venus retrograde. Yes, I'm going in on the Venus retrograde next week because the Venus went retrograde last Saturday. And it is going to be retrograde for a month and a half. So all the stuff you've been feeling, all the stuff you've been seeing people going through and everybody's wilding out, month and a half, but I want to help people understand what's actually happening so we ain't got to be going through it like that. You know what I'm saying? We can experience it on a different level to where it's serving us and we're getting something from it. All right? So that's next week. Till then, peace.